In a world where every value can be traded in data and credit, few people still think about the metallic smell of crude oil, the hiss of compressed gas in pipelines, or the surface of a reservoir trembling beneath the beat of hydropower turbines. But when the price of electricity ticks up a notch, a factory must choose between cutting the night shift or paying more. When gasoline rises a few dollars, voters feel an invisible string running straight from the pump to the ballot box. When a fuel ship is blocked in a narrow strait, stock tickers instantly turn into graphs of anxiety. Energy is not just what heats the furnace and lights the city. It is the heartbeat of industrial civilization, the nervous system of global trade, and therefore, from very early on, it became a weapon. Not as loud as an explosion, but persistent, tenacious, and politically heavy. The last century taught the great powers a clear lesson. Whoever controls supply and the roots that move it can bend the will of economies that once seemed unyielding. When internal combustion engines, chemical plants, and steel furnaces became the lungs of growth, oil, gas, and coal took on the shape of strategic power. From then on, the energy map layered itself over the map of political alliances and pipelines. Seaports and storage caverns became the sinews and lymph nodes of a new geopolitical body. What used to be technical decisions changed color into security decisions. A pipeline that runs through this land and not that one does not merely save a few $100 million. It locks an entire region into a dependency orbit for decades. To understand why energy turns into a weapon, look first at its basic properties. First, energy is an essential good with demand that is almost inelastic in the short term. No city or hospital can say that today electricity is expensive, so we will use half as much. Second, the infrastructure that produces and delivers energy has enormous inertia. An oil field, a nuclear reactor, a high-voltage transmission network takes years to form and more years to change destination. When demand cannot fall quickly and supply cannot rise quickly, anyone who can touch one end of the rope gains outsized leverage over the other. That is the logic that allows nations holding wells, ports, straits, and pipelines to use energy as an instrument of pressure. It is also why large consuming economies must diversify, stockpile, hedge, build alliances, and sometimes pay steep political costs to buy energy security. Once energy becomes a language of power, the blows do not only come from shutting valves or hiking prices. A subtler lever is signaling. A rumor about a production cut or a line added to a demand forecast can push futures far away, changing corporate expectations and voter mood. Producing countries use information as a virtual valve, sending waves of expectation up and down to maximize revenue or pressure counterparts. Big consumers learn to counter with reserve plans, release schedules, and credible roadmaps to cleaner sources. Thus, the energy board is not only material, it is also psychology and timing. More directly, energy is weaponized through three avenues. The first is physical restriction. A major supplier trims flows, delays shipments, or forces new payment terms. In a tightly connected world, a few percent reduction in a quarter can lift prices to levels that stop investment and force households to tighten spending. The second path is to strike infrastructure. Pipelines, compressor stations, floating storage, substations, transmission lines, and even large renewable installations are attractive targets in tense peace and in crisis. Sometimes accidents simply expose system risk. The risk lies in concentrated structure and the low substitutability of certain links. When a slender connection snaps, domino effects appear, price spikes become political messages. The third path is policy and finance. Embargoes, sanctions, price caps, windfall taxes, environmental standards redefining what counts as a strategic good all are tools that reshape energy flows. They force partners into hard choices between immediate revenue and access to the global financial system. They make shippers, insurers, and banks pick sides. On paper, these are regulations. In reality, they are power gates that turn a physical commodity into a political ticket. Energy also becomes a weapon because it enters daily life so intimately. Gasoline prices decide weekend trips. Power bills decide whether winter is warm. Gas prices decide whether a ceramics plant keeps its kilns lit. Every surge invites a storm of public anger. Market liberalization may make sense in the long run, but in the short run it reveals the uncomfortable truth that not everyone can absorb a shock. Protests over heating bills, campaigns to cut fuel taxes, calls to claw back perceived windfall profits are all signs of domestic energy politics. Oppositions know how to ride voter anger. Governments respond with subsidies, price caps, excise cuts, or strategic releases, knowing full well that if prolonged, those measures will warp investment signals. Interdependence makes the game more complex. High-tech economies may lack big oil fields, but they own the value chains for turbines, control software, wafer-grade materials. Some countries do not hold much coal or oil, but possess LNG fleets and receiving terminals. Others have no hydrocarbons but sit on copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earths for batteries and electric drives. The power picture shifts from oil fields to metal mines, from pipelines to power cables, from oil tankers to LNG carriers. The question is no longer who has how much oil, but who orchestrates the choke points and writes the rules. In the digital economy, energy changes shape again. Data centers, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence demand stable electricity at massive scale. Cities wanting to be tech hubs race to supply cheap, clean power to server farms. Winners gain a long-term edge in investment. Cooling tens of thousands of machines is not just engineering. It is a political choice about grid planning, gas turbines, offshore wind, and cross-border transmission. Prioritizing megawatts for data centers can mean higher peak prices elsewhere. That sparks arguments about fairness, tech privileges, and who allocates scarce capacity. When energy becomes the foundation of digital infrastructure, every adjustment touches the public nerve. Green technology competition opens a fresh front. Whoever leads in solid-state batteries, drives down offshore wind costs, localizes the solar supply chain, or commercializes green hydrogen will not only earn profits, but also write the annex to the rulebook. Massive industrial subsidies, tax credits tied to domestic content, and export controls on critical technologies are all ways of using energy as a policy lever. On the other side, nations with mineral reserves and vast wind or solar resources use licensing, joint venture terms, and transit fees to maximize benefits. Every mine contract and offshore wind concession is a slice of power bargaining. Energy markets run on expectations, so narratives are weaponized too. Slogans about energy independence, just transition, green bills, or freedom from oil become instruments to mobilize society and pursue political ends. Media can amplify the risk of blackouts or, conversely, reassure the public that things are under control. Every message sent to the market creates feedback. When firms and households believe prices will rise, they stock up, sign long-term contracts, and delay investment in sensitive sectors. A self-reinforcing loop can turn into real scarcity that began only as a belief. A little noted but crucial element is the time structure of power. Investment or withdrawal decisions today bear fruit only after years. That gap between action and consequence tempts politicians to embrace stopgaps like subsidies or reserve drawdowns. History shows that the most durable buffers against weaponization come from patient infrastructure choices, building more transmission, reforming markets for flexibility, expanding import capacity, diversifying gas sources, and allowing commercial storage. Energy is a marathon, not a sprint, and only long-range strategy wears down short-term leverage. Security concerns force Western societies to relearn balance. Smart grids boost efficiency, but open doors to cyberattacks. Offshore wind brings large capacity, but needs maritime protection. Nuclear power cuts emissions, but demands rigorous safety and a specialized supply chain. Policy debates are often pushed to extremes. One entreats the green transition as the key to escaping all geopolitical risk. The other insists domestic fossil fuels are the lifeline. Reality lies between. A modern grid needs renewables and flexible baseload, storage, ancillary service markets, and cross-border frameworks. Only then can shocks from weaponization be absorbed without collapsing trust. Viewed through political ethics, energy is judged by fairness. A society accepts security costs only when it feels they are fairly shared and lead to a better future. That requires more transparent planning, explaining why we pay more today for a safer grid tomorrow, and protecting the vulnerable through lean times. If energy policy is a tool of soft warfare, it must be tightly bound to accountability. Otherwise, people will read every price swing as governance failure, and support for long-term strategy will evaporate. In international relations, the key is to avoid dependence on a single choke point. Open economies build a flexible wall of pipelines and sea lanes, long-term contracts and spot markets, state and private stockpiles. They sign technology partnerships, standards alliances, reserve sharing pacts, and mutual aid mechanisms for cross-border grid failures. They invest in smart electrification heat pumps replacing boilers, EVs replacing gasoline cars with intelligent charging to reduce sensitivity to any one fuel that is easy to weaponize. The goal is not absolute autarky, which is costly and unrealistic, but enough diversity and agility that any lever quickly loses force. On the other side, resource exporters also face a strategic choice. Using energy as a weapon can bring immediate advantage, but overuse destroys long-term customer trust and accelerates the bear's shift away. There is a fine line between maximizing gains and eroding one's central role. Time and again, large consuming economies have shown they do not sleep through risk. Every shock makes them smarter, more diversified, more efficient, and more resilient. That is the double edge of weaponizing energy. So the short answer to why energy becomes a weapon is that it combines three traits. It is so essential that every economy depends on it. It cannot be replaced quickly, so any disruption is amplified. And it is entwined with voter emotion, turning energy decisions into political ones. In that context, wise actors do not dream of a world without contest. They build an ecosystem in which contest loses bite. That begins with transparent planning, diversified supply, flexible infrastructure, deft policy messaging, and unwavering long-term goals. When night falls on the ports and industrial parks, you can see that light is not neutral. It tells a story of trust, of transmission lines threading forests and mountains, of ships crossing heavy seas, of cold liquefied gas warmed again to turn giant turbines, of solar panels tilting with the sun and rotors spinning high in the wind. All of it powers our civilization, but it can also be pulled into cords that bind our choices. Energy will remain a weapon as long as we allow our systems to stay fragile. It will return to being the foundation of prosperity when we turn fragility into resilience. The path is neither easy nor short, but it is clear: diversity, technology, interconnection, and responsibility. Walk that path and we not only dull the levers that once made entire continents gasp, we rewrite how power and well-being can live together in a stormy century that still needs the light.